Hey there, Aquarium Gangsters. Jeremy Wright here with the Arkansas Planted Aquarium Club. Once again, thanks for joining. I think what we're going to be talking about today is some of the projects that I have going right now in and around my house. So it's we're creeping into the end of October, Halloween season 2025. And what that means for Central Arkansas is that this is the end of the grow season. So many of my outdoor plants have already started kind of, shutting down for the year or dying off, depending on what species they might be. And it's probably about time for me to use, unfortunately, probably this area here in my foyer for bringing in a lot of potted plants. I've been making room for the last week or so, going through and cleaning things up, trimming plants. You can see these begonia cuttings came from up here. Let's see, there were spots like there and there. Anyway, I took like 6 of those, sold a few, gave a few to friends, and my begonias are ready to now. They're callousing off, and they'll start putting out some fresh growth soon. But for the meantime, I just had to give everything a good trim, remove lots of things. Like, I'm still finding stuff. Um, Vining plants that are just growing out of place, lights that I might want to move. I really cleaned up this area. There was just tons and tons of Tradescantia zebrina, also known as purple inch plant or purple zebra plant. It's an old lady plant, kind of like Chinese evergreen or green airwood synjonium, pothos, Mexican petunia. I like the old lady plants. They do really well for what I'm trying to do. But yeah, it's just the season to kind of clean things up. So I did a lot of work in here and in some other rooms. Let's go look at that. Here in my living room, I've just got a big mess. So this is a 55-gallon aquarium that I was working with. It was actually holding some fishies for a while. You may have seen some videos in that, but it was time to empty it. So it's emptied. It's about to get cleaned. The lower rim is going to get a little bit of maintenance. And this tank, 55-gallon tank A, it got a bunch of maintenance over the last few days. There's a bucket down here that probably has 1.5 pounds of guppy grass, quite a bit of red root floater. What happens with this tank very regularly is, and actually it's really cool now, I'm going to talk about this tank separately, but first off, let's talk about what happens to this tank. It has guppy grass in it. Excuse me. What that means is, unchecked, it will fill up and become like one giant green clog. And that's just kind of the guppy grass thing. Guppy grass is an amazing plant. It's very useful, especially if you're breeding guppies, which I'm doing. But if you don't remove it from time to time, it just has a tendency to grow really, really well, prolifically. And as such, you just have to remove it. So I do that if you've watched my videos, you've probably heard me say and then show as this particular tank will totally grow over and become an absolute jungle that you can't even see the fish in. Then I'll harvest pounds of guppy grass in, wholesale it, give it to friends, whatever. And then it gets into this nice phase, which I like kind of recording it. And something that's happening more and more as these synjoniums, begonias, Tradescantia is also a little bit of Tradescantia in this tank. But as these plants grow, so do their roots, right? So this is now becoming a really interesting, different sort of jungle tank where there are lots and lots of roots all over the tank that are creating a really interesting environment. Now, right now, the water level's down. What I've been doing is siphoning off. This is something I don't do very often, but notice all the silt down here. It was really thick in this area over the last few days. Reason for that, there are ancestress catfish in this tank. They are, a pair, and they dig behind this big rock here and behind this big rock here. And in digging, it's, where does the dirt go? Anywhere, and then it settles. So I've been looking at that for a while, but I kind of made a calculated decision that I want more light reflecting up off of this light colored substrate, pool filter sand. And I don't just want the light being absorbed by the dark silt. So it's now time to probably think about what sort of plants I would like growing maybe in the foreground, some smaller things. And I'll be doing that. I might find some chain swords or hair grass or even some Sagittarius grass, but something like that, something in that neighborhood. Maybe even, I don't really have room in here for Amazon swords. 55 gallons, in my opinion, are not large enough for true Amazon swords. I've grown swords that literally reached, with only inches to spare, from one side to the other of a 55-gallon tank or a 75-gallon tank. Like, it's, you can grow an Amazon sword that's like 3 feet across, no problem. 4 feet across will happen. It just takes a little bit longer. In the past, I would uproot those entire things, tear down the tank, and then try to find like a local fish store or something that had a really big display tank that wanted something like that, and I would charge them pretty penny for it. 40 to 80 bucks depending on how big the sword was. But yeah, for one single Amazon sword, I would get that kind of money for it. But it's actually been some years since I was growing Amazon swords, and I'm kind of thinking like I might need to, consider setting up a 150-gallon tank again or something like that, and actually grow some, because there are several plants that I really like. Parrot's feather that require quite a bit of room to grow, or quite a bit of height, or quite a bit of width. Anyway, just some things I'm thinking about, but that's kind of what's going on over here with Tank A. Tank B, convict cichlid tank, it's jamming along really well. It could probably use some cleaning on the glass. There are some diatoms in this area. It's kind of making it hazy looking. The water's pretty good, but you can sort of see it gets a lot clearer when I get up about this line. Yeah, I just need to scrub diatoms, and I'll do that with a what do you call them? Magic eraser. I buy them sort of like Amazon house brand magic erasers off of Amazon. You get a big giant pack, and those are great for scrubbing glass. No chemicals in them. They won't hurt your fish. They won't hurt your tank. They will hurt your diatoms or scrub the algae off your glass. So if that's what you're looking for, cool. Otherwise, not a lot to talk about in this tank other than the fact that I'm probably going to start catching the Arctic white cichlids and moving them into a separate tank. I would like to probably start breeding them separately, because I think they are interesting enough that if I were to breed them, people would want them. Down here, some things to talk about. I've given away goldfish. So I have this little empty, I don't know, is it 3 gallons ish? 3 to 5. It's probably 3 gallons of water if I were to fill it up. But I just there was a young lady who came by whose mother was homeschooling her. She was really into this sort of thing. I gave them a bunch of plants, sold them a bunch of plants also, and gave her goldfish to take home. So she's already got like 4 or 5 tanks, but I thought she was interested. So I was like, you want the goldfish? Sure, feed her goldies. Yeah, you can have them. I just adopted them anyway. So I've got this little tank that I'm probably going to use as guppy grow space, guppy breeding space. Over here, we're doing shrimpies, but it's probably time to start cleaning this tank out. It hasn't been cleared in months. Actually, my friend Gate gave me this tank. Yeah, and my neighbor Carl gave me this tank, but both of them were entirely replanted. I say entirely. Some of these things in the back, the little palm, and this guy, one of my words, they're failing me right now. That fairly common plant. I'll think of it later when I'm not trying to record this. Anyway, that stuff's going well. Oh, check it out. Creeping Jenny growing back there. I forgot that was there. Anyway, that's what's going on back here. And there's also an empty jar that could be used for shrimp or something. This is a cool little thing, I think, anyway. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I don't want to tear it down, but I would like to use it maybe for some shrimp or maybe pygmy sunfish or something like that. Moving back over here, and yeah, there's a 55-gallon tank just on the floor. I don't know what to do with this. I guess I'm gonna have to build a stand or something. That's probably twice today I've already thought, I should probably build a stand, a 2x4, stand it, and then put it somewhere and then use that tank, because I don't think I want to sell it. Over here, tank D, 20-gallon tall. What's going on in here? There are quite a few floaters in here. The Salvinia, I'll probably remove. I don't really like it up there. The tank is super healthy. Cherry barbs, white cloud mountain minnows, a few species of snail. Otherwise, this is also one of those tanks where it's largely visually dominated by roots, and we could change that if we wanted to, but it's pretty cool. It's a very different kind of root scape than that. This has stuff going in diagonals, all sorts of different angles. These are very vertical. Those are pretty much frogbit roots, Amazon frogbit. Any of you who are familiar with those, you know what this stuff looks like. Very similar to, well, I'll just say Amazon frogbit's the thing that looks like that. I was going to say Pistia, water lettuce, but nah, water lettuce doesn't really have vertical roots. They kind of fan out more, but they do very much dominate a visual scape also. Let's go check some other stuff. Now this little tank, I don't show that often. I've gone through moments where I was kind of focusing on it, but this is like a no maintenance, no filter, light only kind of tank. And it's sort of an enclosed invertebrate ecosystem, plants and invertebrates living together. And, they're kind of solar powered. So there are almost said orange cherry shrimp, orange neo shrimp, same species. But they're down in here. They're just dadgum hard to find. And then there are little invertebrates. We can see one sort of swimming across the center of the screen there. And if I look in here long enough, oh, there's one. I'm gonna zoom. See if we can get some focus. They're difficult to see. They're a little bit translucent, but orange Neocaridina shrimp. There's another kind of center screen. That's a juvenile. There are adults in here. They're just not always. Oh, there's one in the back. Sort of see it. Vertical, center screen. It's just in the back. We're not going to see it real well. So this tank, I don't know, not really going to do anything to it. It's happy like it is, and it's really low maintenance, and that's kind of the holy grail when it comes to aquariums. No filter, no maintenance, species that just keep growing without hardly doing it. I barely feed this tank, like maybe twice a month. Maybe twice a month I feed it. That's about it. Looking back to some of these tanks back in the foyer. Endlers. Hello, guys. I feed these guys. They're my buddies. We only feed our friends, right? This tank is just jamming. Saswasser tang all across the bottom. I can easily harvest some Saswasser tang from here. I've been selling it out of this tank. honestly buy pretty good handfuls. Like I'll grab a piece like that and just pull it out, and you can see the places where we can see the sand. That's where I've been yanking out globs and sending them off to new homes. Philippine fern, a little bit of hornwort here, more roots. I like terrestrial plant. That's a pothos root. I like terrestrial plants in aquariums. I think it's cool. Sometimes I tolerate duckweed, but not right now, not in this tank. Yeah, I'll have to come back and deal with some of that. But this tank doesn't really need much. This is also a very low maintenance, unfiltered tank. Tradescantia leaf looks like it's pretty much ready to go. Plant's not using that anymore. We don't need it. It doesn't need it. Lots of other Tradescantia. So 37-gallon cube angel tank. I need to find one or two male angels that I'd like to give to these ladies as mates. And it's not something I've been actively searching for, but I'll probably start trying a little harder soon. I just put a bunch of, one little spot was hanging up. I just put a lot of Elodea densa from another tank in here just to see if it would kind of hold as a placeholder. And I think I'm going to actually plant some of this out while I'm thinking about it and looking at it. Wow, actually it's a taller bit than I thought it was going to be. I may break some more off. I may even break this one in half. There's a root right here, so broke it off just above that root. And let's see what we can do. Look out, ladies, look out, look out, look out. Just something kind of like that, times a few more. Necessary tank maintenance. I'm behind on replanting things, but should go well. This tank, I think, would like some grasses. Not really sure. Like this, it's tall enough it would do. Vallisneria would do well. Sagittaria grass would do well. My friend Ella was just asking me the other day if she could come get some plants. And she has been, for years, my Vallisneria americana source. And I don't really have any that's just growing well right now. I used to have it in my 150, which has been torn down for a couple of years. A little bit more Elodea densa that I could plant out or drop over there. That wasn't the most attractive piece. Oh, this is a nice looking bit. Yeah, we can break that one into some pieces. Toss this guy aside. Nice looking piece there. Plant it out also. Angelfish like vertical stuff. They like grasses, honestly. Sagittaria would probably be the choice grass for this. And by Sagittaria grass, I'm not saying dwarf sag. I mean just regular old outside Sagittaria grass from North America. Would do great in this tank. But, I'll take what I can get. And if Ella happens to come by here with some jungle val, I'll take it. But for now, I wanted that Elodea densa to survive and continue on. And who knows, maybe I'll take a few of these pieces that are kind of green. They need to go to another room. I'll be back out here in a moment. This tank here in my little girl's room, this is just one that's been struggling for a while. And just to be honest, it's been struggling because previously it was a convict cichlid tank. And in convict tanks, I fight a couple of things. One being Words failing. Um, Gosh, phosphates. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't say that. Um, so, I'm trying to lean back and catch a seat. So, talk about this tank. This is my red metal lace guppy breeding colony. It's a 29-gallon filtered soil under sand, really, really normal type tank for me. But when it was a convict tank, it my convict tanks almost always end up with a little bit of blue-green cyanobacteria and blue-green algae, as we call it. It's not an algae. But this tank, we got through that, got through some other phases, and most recently the thing that was messing with me was green, like puff algae. That's not what it's called. I don't know what species it was. There might be 1,000 species of green algae that we see in aquariums. We sort of describe them in groups. This was more of a hair algae. I did not put it under the microscope. I did not try to ID it. It's just a type that tends to grow prolifically under strong light when a little bit of nutrients are available. It doesn't need a lot, but if there are nutrients available, it really takes off under strong lighting. But I wanted this tank to have good lighting because I'm struggling along with my only remaining Proserpinaca palustris. Now, I've grown this plant prolifically in the past, so much that I was wholesaling it. Proserpinaca palustris, mermaid weed, marsh mermaid, is a native plant to Arkansas. In the past, it was growing in a drainage ditch near my dad's house. Sort of empties into a creek that empties into the Arkansas River. And it was doing well there. There was construction there. I knew it was going to be sort of a dangerous thing, so I harvested a good little bit, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I was growing the crap out of it here in a 20-gallon tall tank under a Hygger light, just a standard Hygger 24/7 like Planted Plus light. So I ended up giving that tank away to my friend and Susan, who lives in western Arkansas, Mena, Arkansas, and she held that tank for me for a year or so. And she just didn't have a lot of luck growing the Proserpinaca. So I ended up ordering 2 batches of Proserpinaca over the last 6 months or so. That's the last little bit that I have growing. Now, Proserpinaca palustris enjoys a lot of light. So I'm fighting back and forth between keeping the lights on and running or growing algae. So Proserpinaca also likes quite a bit of nutrients. So this is a plant that does well in like what we would call a high tank system. But that's kind of what's going on in here. Pausing.